Hi, what's going on guys? It's Almond. Welcome back to another Wizard101 video. In today's video, we're going to be going over another rematch duel, but this time it's going to be Meowiarty. This one I feel like a lot of people might farm, and you might be questioning a lot of things like, why would you farm this particularly? It does drop the Athame ring, that is just the Skyfarer equivalent, just renamed, and I feel like the Thame and Ring do have a lot of value. It's just, I feel like so many people are very fixated on the decks at the moment. And I know some people can argue that. I can completely understand that. But I feel like the Thame and Ring are really good. When it comes to the raid, the Athame is a really good alternative for life players specifically, because if you don't have the Void Athame and you didn't do Dragonspire raid, this is a really good alternative. It has roughly the same stats, so some people can even argue a little bit better. So I'd say definitely get it if you're a life, mainly just for the Athame. But for the ring, I feel like the ring is really good on fires. It could be good on storms. It could be good on myths, balance. I see a lot of value hidden behind that because of the fact that you do get pips more. It is a good alternative if you don't have the nullity ring, which I shouldn't expect players to have, because not everyone is going to be doing the raid, you know, and I feel like there should be some good alternatives, and these are really good alternatives if you don't want to use those specific things. So I highly recommend that you should do this if you are wanting to get a good raid alternative with Aim and Ring. But that's just my opinion, right? But how to do this fight, what's the premise of this fight, let's get into it. But before that, if you guys do enjoy this type of content, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, all type of stuff. Join Discord down below if you guys want to see all the slides. They are in the Discord, so you guys can always check this out and just, you know, quickly go there. If you don't want to watch the whole video, you guys are more than welcome to go to the Discord and go to the PvE slides, and you guys can just see this and do it whenever you guys want. Because like I said, I will be doing these in intervals on my channel because I want to upload some other stuff alongside the rematch duels. But let's get into the rematch duel, of course. So we have Meowiarty this time around. Before we had Crocopatria, and now we have Meowiarty. Meowiarty basically has 3 cheats from what it feels like. I'm pretty sure there's a late cheat, but I just never bothered with it because I feel like since it is advanced combat, it's kind of tough to like join late. I feel like if somebody joins late, that just seems like a skill issue, if I have to say.
Seems like a skill issue to me.
But you shouldn't really join late just because of the fact that whenever someone joins, it extends the time. So I don't know how someone's joining late. So that's why for this purpose of the video, I'm not going to write the late cheat. But there is 3 cheats that you do see every time you do this fight. Let's start off with the first one. I've taken the liberty of inviting some of your old friends. At the beginning of round 1, Meowiarty will summon 3 Protection Pox minions. You'll also stun all the wizards round 1. So when we talk about the strats later on in this video, and if you see round 1 says pass, it's because you're getting stunned anyways. No point of casting anything, so just ignore it. But yes, he summons 3 minions. Then after that round ends, we go on to round 2. Round 2, he has Settle In. We've much to catch up on. At the beginning of round 2, a guardian spirit will be placed on Meowiarty and all the minions. But remember, this isn't just any guardian spirit. This guardian spirit will restore 100% of their health after defeat. So that's the whole premise of this fight. It's behind that guardian spirit. Then we have this other cheat, which I feel like it might be buggy. I mean, I could be wrong, but it just feels like it. Shields up. Meowiarty will cast a -45 mass tower shield. He always does this at the beginning of round 2. I want you guys to keep that in mind. He does do this at the beginning of round 2. So after that, I've never had him do a -45 tower shield. If the minions die and get respawned, he doesn't do that. Don't know why, but he does have it in his arsenal, so he can randomly do a -45 tower shield on everybody as well. But yeah, whenever he does it at the beginning of round 2, he doesn't even say the cheat. He does interrupt cast it, but he doesn't say shields up. I've only seen him do this cheat maybe twice, because I purposely extended the fight just to see if he does any other cheats. And beyond that, I don't understand quite what's the reason behind the cast, but the only time, like I said, you're ever going to see him do this is at the beginning of the second round, because with the strats that I have, I'm going to be showing in this video, he only does it at that time, and I've never seen him do it again. So I wouldn't even worry about this cheat because you're killing regardless, so just ignore it if I say so. But that's all of his cheats, or at least the important ones that you guys got to keep note of, and he does have 6k HP. Now let's get into the strats. I have, I'd say, 3 different strats. One of them is very questionable, and the other 2 are a little bit of RNG sprinkled into them. We'll talk about it. So we'll talk about the questionable last because I may have burnt the rice on that one. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I was cooking up some strats. Let's just say on stream I may have burnt the rice. It works. It definitely does work, but that's why I'm gonna leave it on the burnt tab. But let's talk about the actual strat that I feel like is the strat that I've been using. Is this one with storms. I was using fires initially, and I went back and forth between a couple people, and they felt like the storm one was a little bit more to their appealing. The fire one is it works, and we'll talk about it when we get into it. But let's talk about the storm one. Obviously on round 1 you're gonna pass anyways. Don't even trip about it, because you're stunned, you know. And round 2, you got the balance doing a blaze storm. It doesn't have to be a 25% blaze storm. It can be a regular blaze storm, right? Preferably if they had an item card, that's even better. You know, if you have the Mandar wand, that's good. And it doesn't have, this player 1 does not have to be a balance, because if you have the Polar Fox pet, that thing gives you like 3 blade storms for free. So you can literally play player 1 as anybody, right? Just make sure you have a storm bubble. You can literally get that on, you can socket that on, you can get the amulet from the bazaar, which is like, doesn't require much skill. You can just go there and buy it, you know. So it's not like something you have to go farm. Just go get it from the bazaar. And elemental blade. So if you have a character that does those things, you don't have to play on a balance. I just write down balance because of the fact that balance has access to most of the stuff, right? They have access to blade storm, they have access to elemental blade. The only thing is they need a storm bubble, which you can get from the bazaar. So it doesn't have to be a balance. But like I said, turn 1, that balance is doing blade storm. Then we have a tempest. I originally did use meteor, right, when I was doing the fire strats, but tempest works. Tempest does work because of the fact that they have high damage on their stat caps, and they have the same pierce as fire, which is confusing to me when it comes to the stat caps. But there's that. And then Storm 2 is going to blade themselves, and Storm 3 is going to Tempest. The whole premise of this is to have the 2 people that are doing Tempest to make sure that they kill the protection box. They do tend to shield a lot, right? That's the only annoying thing about them. But they don't really have res from what it seems like. They literally have like no HP. So 2 Tempests just kill. You can do this with fires, 2 meteors kill. Straightforward. Then we go on to round 3, where you're going to do a storm bubble, right? Specifically a storm bubble. Like I said, just get it from the bazaar. Then we have Storm 1 doing an amulet storm blade on specifically the 3rd person, which is Storm 2. And they're going to do Storm Lord. If they fail Pip, no biggie. That's why you keep a Tempest in your deck. So depending on your power Pip percentage, preferably do a Storm Lord. If you can't do a Storm Lord, just do a Tempest. The good old reliable Tempest. And then the 3rd person, or I mean Storm 3 or the last person, is going to do a pet / TC Empower, right? If you nowadays, I feel like a lot of people have Empower pets because of the raids, you know. I know not everyone's going to be, you know, doing raids, but there is a lot of pets out there that do give an Empower and have decent storm stats on them. Definitely recommend, so you don't have to use TCs, but TCs are like your way if you don't have the pet. Now, let's say on round 3 your Stormlord or Tempest doesn't kill, right? Because the thing is with this strat, and this is like the niche thing about it, it relies on crit, and your crit percentage is 85% against Meowiarty, right? And it does a double damage multiplier, meaning if you do crit, you're doing double the damage on Meowiarty, right? There is a chance, right, where you don't crit and Meowiarty lives, right? There is a chance, right? Because I'm gonna be completely honest, there is a chance, right? Because I did the math behind all this. The Tempest, two Tempest and the Stormlord, there's a lot of variables, right? Did the protection pox shield Meowiarty in time, right? Does Meowiarty have double shields on him, right? Because he did have the shields up. Does he have a shield and then another shield from a protection pox? Does there's a chance where round 2 he does an earthquake and you lose your blade storms. That's the other thing you have to consider. There's a lot of variables that come in play, right? So it's this strat, you got to do ifs and ors. I feel like if you do this strat pretty consistent, right, and you know RNG's in your favor, easy for a round, nothing about it, right? But it turns into a 5 or a 6 round depending on how bad your RNG is, right? Which is you not critting, for example. You not critting can turn this into another round, and let's say you even have more bad RNG, it can turn into a 6 round, right? But like from my attempts, I've had a lot of good 4 rounds, maybe once or twice 5 rounds, and then one time where I actually went to 6 rounds where it was just really bad. But stuff like that can happen. So let's say that Stormlord doesn't kill. This is where the part where I wrote down if Meowiarty doesn't die, right? Because there's a lot of things like changing the bubble, earthquake, stuff like that, and there's a chance he does, right, live. So you do this if slide. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna do another blade storm, and then storm 1 and storm 2, they're just gonna do a lightning bats or a shark, right? Storm 2 is not gonna have the pips to be able to shark, so that's why they're gonna lightning bats. You don't want the last person to hit because they want to build up their pips. So instead you're just having storm 1 do a shark. That should kill with the blade storm, right? Genuinely, that should kill. So, and if not, storm 2 is literally using a lightning bats just as a backup safety net, right? And that's what you do. That's if he doesn't die. Keep that in mind. Do not do that if he does die, right? That's why I wrote in bold letters and in red text if he doesn't die. So keep that in mind. Now let's say he does die, right? We're chilling, he did die. Now what you want to do is elemental blade and storm blade and amulet blade the last person, because at this time they should have a blade storm, there's a bubble up, they're getting an elemental blade, a storm blade, and an amulet blade, right? Now depending on that person's pips, of course, right, you might have to Kraken because you fail pipped. You might have to, if you did get a power pip, you can storm Zilla, right? And let's say you didn't kill Meowiarty after that Stormlord, you're probably gonna have another pip, so you can do a Triton, right? So that's why you want to keep all those options in your deck depending on the action that you have to do. Most of the time you're probably gonna storm Zilla, but if you don't crit, you're not gonna kill. So then here we turn into another thing where you gotta do another round where you got a blade storm, bats shark, or lightning bats. Same thing, right? It's pretty straightforward. You should be able to make this deck pretty easily. It's only 6 cards, right? But at least you're occurring for every situation that's possible, right? And you can even keep another hit on the last person. Instead of doing pass, you can do another hit. But if for some reason your blade storm and it's basically buffed from the bubble and a shark and a lightning bats doesn't kill, I'm really surprised. But theoretically it should. So if RNG's in your favor, this can turn into an easy 4 round. Don't even trip. And if he does live because something's out of your hand, like not getting a pip, he changes the bubble, earthquake, something like that, it turns into a 5 round, and worst comes to worst, it can somehow turn into a 6 round. But that's the whole premise around this storm strat. You're playing a bit around RNG, and it doesn't require too much. Like the balance doesn't have to be balanced, like I said, and the storms are just doing their thing. They're doing that DPS, they're dishing it out, whatever, right? So that's why the strategy, I changed it up a bit, added some if then type situations. because if it was the same thing every time, then I feel like these duels would get repetitive, and I feel like that's the whole premise, where it's like there's a little bit of chance behind some of this stuff. So that's why it's not really a consistent strat. That's why I'm giving you guys some if-then situations. But like I said, you shouldn't have a difficulty farming Meowiarty. I think it's pretty straightforward, and if you still are somehow confused about this strat, I can make it a little bit more easier on the slides, but I tried my best to explain it, right? So the only time you're doing the if-then situations is if Stormlord doesn't kill, and doesn't kill his first life, then you're doing that if-then situation. And then if you still don't kill on his second life, you have another round to deal with. So I got you guys covered in those scenarios. Now, there is one more strat, or actually there's two more strats that we can talk about, right? Because I know some people might be wondering, what are those strats, Almond? We have a fire strat. It's essentially the same exact thing as the storm strat, but instead we're switching some stuff out. You know, you're adding some meteors. You can use dragon if you wanted to. You're switching out the 3 pips. Start from the, instead of using a storm shark, you're using a sunbird, and instead of using a 2 pip, because I feel like elf isn't as worth it to use, instead just use a fire cat. And that's just me being honest. Use a fire cat. You can 100% switch out that fire cat for a fire elf if you really want to, but I feel like that fire cat is just better. Like I said, with the pip things, you guys can either phoenix or elephant, and if you even wanted to, you can even keep a 4 pip. That's just up to you if you really want to keep that. I'm gonna write it down on the slides and see if people want to keep an immolate in their deck, but it's just roughly the same thing as the storm strat. You're just tweaking some spells, and that's it. There's nothing different beyond that. But if you want to do the fire strat, here it is. But I feel like the storm strat is a little bit better, in my opinion. Now let's say you really are lazy, right? This strat, I feel like I burnt the rice on this one. I will admit that I did burn the rice on this one, but let me show you what it is. And it works, right? This strat works. It's for myths, right? You can do this, like I said, the other 2 strats, you can do the exact same thing with myths, so keep that in mind. But this is a strat that I wrote down after doing 1 round of Meowiarty, or like 1 match of Meowiarty, right? And this was just me doing stun spams, and then literally just keep on just going for 2 different Orthrus, and that just kills, right? This is like a 7 round, and don't get me wrong, it works. Would I recommend this? If you're bored and you want to do something interesting and you want to just abuse the stuns, because it doesn't put stun shields, you can do this if you really wanted to, right? Does it require more setup? Yeah. Is there RNG involved? No, because everything you do is traps, so you don't have to worry about it getting removed. Do I have to worry about shields? No, because you can just betrayal or shatter. So do this if you want. Would I tell you to do it? Only if you're bored. It's a fun little strat, just because you can abuse stuns. But like I said, just do the fire one, do the storm one. Those are just better. I'll admit it, you know. But if you're really bored, do the stun spams, have some fun, and maybe you might enjoy that. But that is it for the video, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed. But like I said, keep in mind when it comes to those fire and storm strats, keep those extra cards, because you don't know what you might need depending on if he lives. RNG's not in your favor, you fail pip, you get earthquaked, stuff like that, or you don't crit. There's a lot of things that can extend that 4 round to a 5 round, or maybe even a 6. So keep that in mind when farming this boss. But that is it. Hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to leave a like, subscribe, all that type of stuff. Join Discord down below if you guys want to see these slides. They're in the Discord, in the PvE guides channel. You guys are more than welcome to click on there and use it to your heart's content. The Jade Oni rematch is already on there, and the Mouse rematch is already on there as well if you are wanting to farm those. But I always, like I said, I always take another day to upload them, because I want to go back and make sure that I am confident with these strats, so I can upload these for you guys. So that is it. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace out, guys.